Hello sports fans, it is I Know Ma, back with another card opening video for your entertainment, except today we're not opening cards, we're talking about how to get cards autographed and get baseballs autographed. This is your complete guide to getting autographs in spring training, and a lot of the things I'll be talking about apply when you're not at spring training too, so hopefully this will be a really helpful video to help you guys score autographs. Now, a little bit of housekeeping before we dive in, but stick around because I'm going to give you lots and lots of tips, and I guarantee that they're going to work. If they don't work, email me and I'll send you something cool. Show me that you tried. If it doesn't work, I'll send you something cool. That's how confident I am. I've gotten thousands of autographs over the years. This is what works. So you're in the right place if you want to get autographs this spring training. Quick things, housekeeping before we get started. Number one, the Corbin Carroll video that posted the other day. You guys have been incredibly supportive where I interviewed and opened cards with Corbin Carroll. Go watch that if you haven't already, or rewatch it if you have watched it, because he talks from a superstar player's perspective about what works to get his autograph, and it's universal. He talks about how to approach the player in a way that I can talk about, but I'm not a superstar major leaguer like he is. So straight from the horse's mouth, go watch that Corbin video. Couple other quick things. This video is an amalgamation of three. One that I'm doing today and two that I did last year. So if you watched my videos last year on how to get autographs in general or how to get them in the Cactus League, you will see some familiar things, but this is completely updated. I'm changing some things around. I'm adding some new information, so I think you will find it well worth watching. Last thing I want to say real quick, through the end of March, I'll be matching any donations to the Diamondbacks Foundation, so make sure that you check out that Corbin Carroll video and consider donating to a great cause that supports some incredible local charities. At the end of this video, I'll also talk about how you can get a Corbin Carroll autographed card by donating. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about how you can win a $1,000 book value box. You're going to get a special sneak preview today of this giveaway that I'm doing as we rapidly approach 1 million views. So thank you guys so much for your support of the channel. Let's get into how to get autographs. We're going to start out with some general tips on how to get autographs at spring training games. Then we're going to do a little deep dive into the best parks to go to get autographs and the best places to go in those parks to get autographs in the Cactus League. If you are a kid, you're going to have a way easier time than if you're a guy my age. So that's thing one to know. Thing two to know is that if you are a woman, you're going to have a much easier time than a guy my age. That's thing two to know. Now, for those of you who saw my video that I posted the other day where I got 20 autographs in 2 hours at Salt River Fields from the Rockies, represent, it can be done even if you're a guy that looks like me, but it is easier for the kids. And by the way, if you are an adult like me, you must let the kids go first. Do not be that guy who elbows the kids trying to get past them to get an autograph. It is unseemly, it's uncool, it's unethical, and the baseball gods, the karma, they will bite you if you do that. As a matter of fact, I've gotten autographs before by specifically helping kids get autographs. And I can reach further than they can because I'm 6'3". And I say, hey, will you please sign this for this kid right here? Hey, will you please sign this for this kid right here? And then sometimes at the end, I'll say, could you get one for me real quick? And maybe they wouldn't have given me one if I hadn't done that. So there's something to be said for just being cool and being polite and being nice. Do not let your inner child cause damage to actual children. That's not okay. The second tip, other than the fact that just like don't be a middle-aged dude, which, you can't really help it. But if you're really trying to get a specific autograph, if you are a woman, you don't need to worry about this. If you're a man, it can be helpful to have a woman with you because the players sometimes are more likely to sign for a woman. Somehow in their little minds, they don't think that the women are reselling the autographs, and they think that all of the men are. I've actually talked to players about this. This is what they think. It can be very helpful also to use word tracks like, will you please sign this for my collection? Because it's sort of indicating to them you're not going to resell it. Now, of course, they don't know if you're going to resell it or not, but another way to do that is to ask for them to personalize it, because if they personalize it, then it's worth almost nothing on eBay, and they know that. That's something that can be very helpful. But if you're really having trouble getting someone, if you ask a woman next to you to do it, or you bring a woman with you, you might have an easier time if you're a guy. If you have little kids, please don't exploit them. Get the autographs for them. Don't get them for you. But having said that, if they've already gotten one and you want to get one too, there's certainly nothing wrong with trying that. You are full of cards. How do you do that? How do you put it together? I asked enough people were gracious enough to tell me. Some people didn't want to tell me because they viewed me as competition, but I don't view it that way. I view that there's plenty for everybody. So here's what you do. A sketchbook. I like Derwent Academy sketchbooks. Then you want to buy some photo squares. That's what these things are. Just on Amazon or in any store, just look for photo squares and you'll find them. These are what people use to put photos into scrapbooks. So here's what you do. You take your photo squares, they look like this. You put them on a card. This is just a card I had laying around, okay? Some people put 4 corners, but I like to just put 2 corners. So here's how you do it. You take it, you wanna gently slide the corner of your card into the photo square, gently. I've dinged some corners doing this before, so you have to be careful. You wanna make sure that they're the opposite corners so that it'll hold real well, okay? And then let's just say that I was trying to get Carlos Correa's autograph. Then I just press the corners onto my page and there you go. See? So it's really easy for him to sign it. And you have a bigger object, which is important, and it's easy, okay? So a couple other things, and then to remove it, here's what you do. You just gently bend one corner out, and then the other one will slide out really easy. I like to do 2 because then it's pretty easy to slide another one in there later. You have to bend your card very slightly. You have to be careful. But that's the best way that I have found to do it. One of the nice things is that if there's somebody who you know is a good signer, you can do multiple cards. Like I know that Kyle Freeland is a really good signer, so I put multiple cards. I've had him sign 4 or 5 cards from me before. Right at the moment, I just have 3 in there. So it just makes it really easy for them to go boom, boom, boom. Because if you have 2 cards loose or 2 balls loose, it kind of seems greedy. But the other thing that I always say is just sign as many as you like, Kyle, right? And then usually they'll just sign all of them, but sometimes they just sign 1, or there are certain players that are really strict that they'll only sign 1. Corbin did talk in my interview with him about that he doesn't always like it when he sees this kind of thing. So for a superstar like him, I will often take the card out. And you know that a superstar is not going to sign more than 1 because he gets asked all the time and he's assuming you're probably going to sell it if you have more than 1. Okay? Another thing you can do that is also kind of helpful is to write their names at the top of the book of that page, right? Because I've had situations where let's say I'm trying to get Drew Romo's autograph, but I'm searching through all these pages trying to find him, right? And even if it's in alphabetical order, in the heat of the moment, like you have to react really quickly when you're getting autographs because suddenly someone's free and then suddenly they're gone. So you want to have it ready to go. The other thing that I'll sometimes do is dog ear the page. So if I see somebody in the cage or I see someone taking PFP or whatever, I'll dog ear that page and maybe there's 8 pages that are dog eared. And then when that tranche of players has either signed or not signed and gone inside, I undog ear it, I bend it back the other direction, now it's flat, right? So that way I've got it super handy, it's ready to go. Write your names at the top in big block letters so it's easy to see. If you are a middle-aged man, how can you have an advantage given that you are going into the game of getting autographs at an inherent disadvantage if you are a middle-aged or older guy? Actually, that's not true. If you are a much older guy, much older than me, also the players are more likely to sign because then you remind them of someone that they love and they also figure that you're not going to sell it. If you're a middle-aged guy, you have to go where the other people are not. That is very, very, very helpful. So first of all, figure out a corner that you can stand in where nobody else is, where the players have to pass by. Figure out if you're at a practice where they're about to get finished practicing in one area and they haven't started signing yet, and just get over there. Because ethically for me, if I'm the very first one to get an autograph and there's nobody else around, then I'm not taking an autograph away from a kid or anybody else. Furthermore, if I'm the only one they sign for, and this is going to sound arrogant and terrible, but if I'm the only one that's smart enough to know where the player is going to be and I get there, it's sort of like hunting. Like you want to be where the deer is going to be, not where they are presently. So you have to think about, I saw that guy come out of that entrance. He's going to go back into it when he exits, when he's done doing whatever he's doing, running sprints or hitting batting practice or whatever it is that he's doing. So I want to be smart and position myself in that area. I personally think, pardon the pun, that the autographs just look way more sharp in blue. They look a lot better. The reason I have a backup black Sharpie is that there are a few players that will not sign in blue. Apparently, it's easy to lift their autograph and forge it off of a blue than a black. So you want to have a black Sharpie as backup if you need it. You also want to have an extra blue Sharpie in case your Sharpie gets lost, in case it runs out of ink, whatever. Etiquette-wise, make sure that you're letting other people use your marker. For example, if I'm the first to get an autograph, although I usually try to be the last, especially if there's a bunch of kids there, we've talked about that. But if I happen to be first and then a bunch of people come over because they see someone signing for me, I'll just say, hey, Kyle, why don't you just keep that Sharpie? And I'll just stand there and just let him keep signing so he doesn't have to constantly trade out his marker. That's an act of service that you can do for the other people trying to get autographs, especially kids who are maybe not as well organized as you are, so that the player can just keep signing. Because if you think about it, them having to give back the item and the pen and to get a new pen and then take the cap off the pen, it slows things down, so it's less pleasant for them and ultimately less people get autographs. So if you happen to be first, be of service and let them keep the pen. But going back to blue versus black, there's a reason why Topps uses blue pens to have the pack pull autographs. It just looks way better. So use blue, have a backup black if you need it, have a backup blue if you need it, and have a great time. Something that Corbin Carroll talked a lot about in our interview with him was to be polite, and that's really, really, really important. I can't emphasize enough to you to be polite. I sometimes am talking to players that are half my age, I still address them as Mr. And the word track that I have come up with that works the best is, Mr. So-and-so, do you have time? Because if you think about it, of course they have time. It literally takes 3 seconds to write your signature. Of course they have time. The question is just, are they going to come over? So when you say, Chase, can I have your autograph? Chase, can I have your autograph? That's not the way to go. Mr. Dollander, do you have time? Right? And then they'll typically look over and then you go, do you have time to sign? And sometimes they won't, sometimes they will. But being that polite really helps. And especially with kids, if you say Mr. So-and-so is way better than calling them by their first name, because I am every player's elder at this point, and I still call them Mr. Thus-and-so because I don't know them. I'm not acquainted with them. Now, there are certain players who have gotten their autograph enough times, like Kyle Freeland, Herman Marquez, or someone whom I met personally like Corbin Carroll, where I am going to call them by their first name. But you want to stay away from that. You want to call them Mr. Thus-and-so. Make sure to thank them as well. Very, very, very important to thank them. Can't emphasize that enough. Thank them for their time. I always say thank you for your time because they're taking time out of their day. They're paid to play baseball. They're not paid to sign autographs for you. They don't have to do it at all. So they're doing it to be kind to you. So you want to very much so treat it accordingly, because I'm not actually asking them for the autograph. It's obvious because I'm holding a card that I want them to sign, but I'm not asking them for an autograph. When you say, Mr. Blackman, may I please have your autograph? I don't know, maybe he'll stop, maybe he won't. When you say, Mr. Blackman, do you have time? Sometimes they say no. Sometimes they still say no because they don't have time. They're on their way somewhere. It's actually very respectful toward them because you have to keep in mind, you're at their place of business. You're at their work. And they might need to go hit, or they might need to go eat, or they might need to go do whatever. And them not signing for you might have nothing to do with them being a jerk or not liking you or just not wanting to sign autographs. It might just be that literally they don't have time. So it's just an informational question. Do you have time? But I have found that my response rate has gone way up since I started saying that. Just don't use it if I'm standing next to you because I invented it. So I want to be the one to use it. The other thing that I do is as I hand them the card or the ball, I say, thank you so much. And then after they do it, I say, thank you so much again. So my point is that if you're courteous and respectful and helpful, they just naturally want to sign for you and help you out because you're being cool. If you are objectifying them or treating them like everybody else treats them, like an object, then they don't like it so much. So just think about it. If you were at your work and people were trying to get your time and your signature, how would you want them to approach it? Would you want them to say, Mr. Smith, do you have time? Or Mr. Smith, do you have a moment, right? Or do you want them to say, Bobby, sign? Another tip I want to give you guys is bring a roster. Now, a lot of places, when you're going to the practice field, if you ask one of the security guys or ushers, they will have rosters for you. As you can see, I taped this one onto the back of my Rockies book so that I've got all the numbers. because the major league players should have their name on the back, but some teams don't. Some teams, the spring training uniform or the workout jersey will just have their number. There's also going to be people who have been invited to spring training or who are minor leaguers who might have a minor league jersey with just their number, but it will tell you their roster number here. If for some reason they don't have their jersey on, or if they have a warm-up jacket over their jersey, they'll often have their number on their equipment bag. So if you're not sure who it is and it says their number on their bag, it says 19 on it, and you look on your roster and you go, oh, that's Charlie Blackmon. Bad example because it's really impossible to not know who Charlie Blackmon is. He's like Brandon Marsh. He looks like Captain Caveman. I say that with all love and respect because he's one of my favorite players, but it's hard to miss Charlie Blackmon. But there are people who you might not know who they are, but if you just see their number and you have a little roster with you, or if you have it on your phone, you can find it. Speaking of going on your phone, we're just going to stick with the example of the Rockies. You go to ColoradoRockies.com or whatever, SanFranciscoGiants.com, LosAngelesDodgers.com. And there's different tabs. There's the active roster, which is not what you want. You want the 40-man roster because there's a lot of players that are on the 40-man roster that get invitations to spring training. So you want to make sure that you have the 40-man roster up on your phone or printed out even better so you can easily look at it. The other tab that you're going to want to look at under rosters is NRI. That means non-roster invitations. Those are players that are either veterans who have signed a minor league contract, they haven't signed a major league contract for spring training, or they're prospects who haven't yet made the 40-man roster, but they're being invited to spring training, either with a chance to make the team or just, to give them experience. Know your players, know your names, know your numbers, and don't be afraid to ask, just ask politely. The other thing you can do is if someone says, I got to go hit, or whatever, you get that a lot, I got to go hit. Just say, no problem, would you be willing to afterward? And most of the time they don't say no because, it's the social construct. They're trying to follow the rules of society. Be very rude to just say no. Sometimes they'll say maybe, but a lot of the times they'll say yeah. The other thing you'll get a lot sometimes if they're on their way somewhere in spring training is you'll get, I need to go do such and such, I'll get you after. So then you just want to make yourself known to them in some way. My name's Noma. I'm wearing the spring training hat, or, I'm wearing a 5-finger death punch t-shirt or whatever, so that they will remember, because you have to keep in mind that in the same way that you're objectifying them if you're not being cool, they objectify the horde of autograph seekers as one entity. So you want to be able to stand out and be someone that they want to return to. The one exception to calling players by Mr. So-and-so is for coaches. And I'll tell you guys why. Because there's a way that you can cheat. If someone's got their uniform number, their name on the back of their uniform, you can say Mr. Thus and so and not actually know who they are. Although most people make the mistake, especially kids, where they'll just call out, Dollander, will you sign? Dollander, give me a ball, right? Instead of Mr. Dollander. Now, the problem with the coaches is that they know that most people don't know who they are. So if you call out Mr. Schrader, they might know that you know who they are only by the back of their jersey. But if you call out Hank, then they actually know that you know who they are. So especially if you're my age, if you're their age or approximately their age, I will actually call the coaches by their first name generally, because that tells them that you actually know who they are and they like that. The one exception is the manager. I always call the manager Skip. And they like that. That's what the players call them. They're the skipper of the club. They're the manager. Call him Skip. Hey, Skip, you got time to sign? Hey, Skip, do you have time? Whatever. Or, you might say, Mr. Black, do you have time to sign? Comes over and signs. Hey, thanks, Skip. Just be cool. Be friendly. It's a nice transaction. Make it a nice transaction for them, and they'll make it a nice transaction for you. In spring training, the backfields are a great way to go before the game. Like for a 1 o'clock game, the backfields typically are going to open up at 9 a.m. So if you're really serious about getting autographs, you want to get there at 9 a.m. and you want to stay till about noon when the players go in to get lunch. And then you want to go right into the park and situate yourself somewhere that the players are going to walk past as they're going to get ready to play. And they'll start coming in at about 12:30. Then you also want to stay somewhere where they exit, because you have to keep in mind during spring training, the starters generally leave early. In the first couple games of spring training, they're leaving in like the second or third inning. Middle spring training, fifth or sixth inning. You know, toward the end, they might play to like the 7th inning, but they're not playing the whole game. So sometimes they will sign on their way out. It's harder to get them on their way out, but sometimes they will. There's also the player parking lot. If you want to figure out where the player parking lot is, just look for the parking lot that has security that's not letting anyone in, and look for all the really nice cars, because that's the player parking lot. They do sometimes sign on their way in and on their way out. So if you want to get there at like 7 a.m. before they even suit up and get out there, you might get lucky. If you want to hang around after the game, you might get lucky. All right, so 2024 Noma, I'm interrupting you once again. This is 2025 Noma speaking. Just to let you guys know, this is the transition into the second video that I did last year where I talked specifically about Cactus League parks. Now, those of you that are in Florida or going to Florida for Grapefruit League, I would still love for you to watch this because there's going to be tips that will apply to Florida as well. But I don't live in Florida. I've only been to spring training once in Florida, and it was like 20 years ago. So some of the tips apply, such as figure out where the practice field is. Often it's not the same location where the main field is because you're going to do a lot better at the practice field. A lot of the tips apply, so please watch it anyway. If you want to bypass all this and learn about how to win a Corbin Carroll signed card or a $1,000 book value box, you can fast forward to the end. But I'd love for you to stick around. Those of you that are in Arizona or going to the Cactus League, this is where it gets good. Enjoy. Now you'll notice I'm wearing my Texas Rangers hat. That's partly because for this video's purposes, the Texas Rangers have one of the best spring training facilities. I want you to keep in mind that I'm going to be going through these as an autograph seeker. So just keep in mind, this is as an autograph seeker. This video is specifically about which parks in Arizona are best to get autographs. Now, obviously, if you're a Brewers fan and you want to go to a bunch of Brewers games, do that, and you will get some autographs. But if you're not partial to a particular team and you just want to have your best shot at getting autographs, this is the way to go. So, big picture, a number of the teams share sites. The Rockies and Diamondbacks share a site. That's one of the best ones. That is Salt River Fields in North Scottsdale. The Mariners and Padres share a site. That is in Peoria. That's one of the best ones. And the Royals and Rangers share a site in Surprise. That's one of the best ones as well. You have to keep in mind that Metropolitan Phoenix is basically a square. It's basically a grid or a rectangle, depending on how you want to look at it. So there's Phoenix itself, and then there's all the outlying towns. So we're still talking about the Phoenix metro area, even with all of these different towns, okay? For me, the ones that are neutral are the Angels, who play at Tempe Diablo Stadium in Tempe, and the Dodgers and White Sox, who are in Glendale. Now, the Dodgers and White Sox have one of the nicest parks, and it's pretty easy to access their practice fields. Farther away, it's like way west of Phoenix. And number two is that the Dodgers are so popular, especially now, it's even worse now, that it's almost impossible to get autographs there because there's just so many people. But it's still a beautiful park, great place to watch a game. In my opinion, the worst ones are the A's, the Giants in Scottsdale itself, Scottsdale proper, the Reds and Guardians, who are way even past Glendale out in Goodyear, and the Brewers. So here's why. The A's and Brewers parks, in my opinion, are just a little bit run down, no offense. The A's actually, their old park was so bad that they changed, but they didn't build a new park. When the Cubs built a new park, the A's took the Cubs' old park that was bad enough that the Cubs didn't want it anymore. So that's how bad the A's park is that it's the Cubs' old discarded park. That is Hohokam Stadium for the A's. The Cubs are now over at Sloan Park. And I have the Cubs in their own category because Sloan Park is really nice, but I've never tried to get autographs there. And so I have no idea what it's like. I did see a game there once, but it just wasn't an autograph situation. When I go to games in a professional capacity, I guess you might say, when I'm with like reference for my business or I'm like schmoozing somebody, I don't run around like an idiot trying to get autographs. I just sit and enjoy the game. The other issue with the Cubs, and the reason why they're in their own category, is similar to the Dodgers. They're just so popular. So many people come from Chicago to see the Cubs that it's going to be loud. It's going to be crowded. It's going to be just harder to get autographs than usual. Right before the game, you want to be standing as close to the dugout as you can of the team that you're trying to get autographs of, because oftentimes they will sign autographs after they play catch right before they go in the dugout to get ready to try it out and play. In my opinion, it's advantageous to go to a park like Salt River when the Rockies are playing. Now, Salt River, when the Diamondbacks are playing, is very crowded because we're in Phoenix and it's the Diamondbacks are Phoenix's team. So kids who are from Phoenix want to go see their team, the Diamondbacks, in spring training. Not to mention the fact that the Diamondbacks won the National League pennant last year, so they're really good. That's another thing you want to pay attention to, is that when teams are really good, like Texas, I'm imagining Texas is going to be a mob scene this year. So I would prefer to go to Surprise on a day that the Kansas City Royals are playing rather than the Texas Rangers, because there's just going to be less people there. Also, you want to go during the week if at all possible, because all throughout March, people are coming to Arizona to see spring training. And so every game is going to be somewhat crowded, but the weekends are way worse because then you're going to have all of the kids who are not in school. Also during spring break week, it's going to be way more crowded. So just pick your spots if you can, if you have the freedom to go at a time that it's not so busy, it's going to be way better. Okay, Rockies and Diamondbacks. If you're standing at home plate at Salt River Fields, the Rockies come in on the right field side and the Diamondbacks on the left field side. And if you look and you pay attention, you'll see a pretty obvious entrance right in the corner, the right and left field corners. That is the best spot, is just right after they come in. That's the best spot to get autographs both before and after the game. Other reasons why I like Salt River is the same reason I like Peoria and Surprise, is because the practice fields are adjacent to the stadium. So you just park in the stadium, you walk over the practice fields, it's super easy. There's lots of access. The best access as far as practice fields is actually Mariners Padres, because there are a couple of fields for the Rockies and Diamondbacks that you can't access. But at least last time I was in Peoria, you could access all of the Mariners and Padres. At Salt River, when you're facing the stadium, the Rockies practice fields are on the right, the Diamondbacks practice fields are on the left. In Peoria, when you're facing the stadium, the Mariners are on the right and the Padres are on the left. So you do have to kind of choose which team you want to go to for the practices. For Peoria, what's really nice is that if you go out into right field, there's a very obvious spot where there's some fencing, and the players have to walk past there to get into the field. So the bad news is that unlike in Salt River, there is a fence between you. It's much easier for them to stay farther away from you and just not acknowledge you. But the good news is that both teams have to walk past there. So if you're trying to get both teams, that's a really nice thing. It always really helps to wear, by the way, the hat of the team that you're trying to get. Don't forget that. At Surprise, the visiting team comes in right from home plate. So if you're trying to get someone there, try to get a seat right around home plate in that little cutout. They come right through and go to their dugout. The visiting team in Salt River, going back to Rockies and Diamondbacks, right field is going to be where the Rockies come in, left field is where the Diamondbacks come in, and the visitors come in from center field. So if you're really trying to get somebody on the opposite team and you're at a Rockies or D-backs game, if you hang out in just dead center field and you look over the side, you're going to see a tunnel where they're coming in. And that's also where the umpires are, by the way, if you want to try to get a ball from one of the umpires. Royals and Rangers, it's kind of hard to get the home team in my experience, but it's really easy to get the visiting team if you are hanging around by home plate. However, one thing I love about the Rangers and Royals is that they have batting cages inside the park. The Royals, I believe, are on the left side if you're facing home plate, and the Rangers are on the right side. So I've gotten some really good players, including Adrian Beltre, just because they were taking batting practice. Billy Butler gave me his broken bat once. Nobody's around. They don't know that that's where they're taking batting practice, but it's on the main concourse. You can't miss it if you're looking for it. I don't have a lot of advice for how to get autographs at Tempe Diablo Stadium other than just hang out by the dugouts, because I just don't know that park as well. Pretty much the same with the A's, Giants, Reds, Guardians, Dodgers, White Sox, Brewers, Cubs. Because those big six that I mentioned before, Rockies, D-backs, Mariners, Padres, Royals, Rangers, it's just really easy. There's places you can position yourself where they have to walk past you in order to get to their job, to the game. So that's why I like those ones the best. If you have any comments or thoughts about how to get those other stadiums, good places to hang out, please let me know. But in general, it's just like they're walking in, they come directly out of their dugout. They don't necessarily have to walk past you to get to the dugout. That's kind of the point, is that that's what makes those stadiums a bit easier. Another thing to keep in mind too is that the Giants practice fields in Scottsdale are not accessible. At least they weren't last time I was there. The Reds and Guardians, it's actually about a mile away, so it's not adjacent to the fields either. I did not have any luck accessing Brewers practice fields. Unless that's changed, let me know in the comments. Dodgers and White Sox, you actually can access the practice fields. But again, it's just so crowded. It's very, very hard to get autographs out there. Again, Rockies and Diamondbacks, Mariners, Padres, Royals, Rangers, those 3 parks, they're pretty easy to get to. If you're in Central Phoenix, it's going to be northeast for Salt River and northwest for Surprise and Peoria. If you live in northern Arizona, like Flagstaff area or anywhere north, those are also easier because they're a lot easier to get to. If you live in Tucson, you're probably going to have a better time going to the Brewers and the Angels because they're in more the southern part of Phoenix. The Angels are in Tempe, which is about 10 minutes from the airport. So if you're flying in or flying out, that's the best place to go, is Tempe Diablo Stadium. So I hope that that's all helpful. I hope you guys have a good time at the ball games and enjoy trying to get autographs. I forgot to ask you to like the video in the beginning like I should have, but please do that. And if you haven't subscribed, please join the Noma Army of Champions. So there you have it, guys. That's all of the tips that I have to share with you today. I do appreciate you staying until the end, though, because there's a couple things we need to talk about. So first thing is, I'm running really low on the cards that Corbin signed. But if you make a donation, I prefer it be $100, but if you can only afford $50, that's okay. I'll match it and get up to $100. $100 donation to the Arizona Diamondbacks Foundation. You can get a personally signed card by Corbin Carroll. I need you to go look at the Corbin Carroll interview that I did and read the directions. Now, people have been sending me screenshots of their donation, which I need, sending me your address, which I need. I also need you to send $10 to nomalovesya@gmail.com. My email address, it's in every video. Send me $10 so that I can put it in a nice bubble-packed envelope that's tracked so that we don't lose it. So what I don't want to do is throw it in an envelope with a stamp on it, and then it takes 2 weeks to get to you because I live in rural Arizona, and then you and I are both stressing that it's not there. I want to be able to track it, but I'm already donating a lot of money to the charity. I would rather not get into a lot of money on shipping all this stuff, okay? So please do that. The other thing is, if you want to start getting early entries into the contest for the Sedona Mega Box I'll be giving away. Sedona Mega Boxes are priority mail box. You're gonna have over 1,000 cards in there. And they're full of rookies and inserts and short prints and just awesome cards. Now, there's nothing too amazing in there because if you think about it, either I want to PC that card or I want to trade that card. But the cards that are not quite good enough to donate to charity, not quite bad enough, but they're not quite good enough to PC or bother with trading, those are going to go into the Sedona Mega Box. And I do with products I open a lot of, like 2022 Heritage. You're going to see a Julio rookie slide in there. You're going to see a Bobby or a Spencer Strider rookie slide in there. So they are nice cards to collect or to trade. I gave away 2 when we were approaching 2,000 subscribers. 3,000 subscribers snuck up on me so fast because you guys are so awesome. And also I just had a lot going on personally that I wasn't able to do a giveaway, but we're at about 940,000 views now. So when we hit 1 million views, I'm going to give away to one of you a Sedona Mega Box. Here's how you enter. I will be doing a whole video on it later, but because you watched to the end of this one, you get first crack at it. So here's what you need to do. You need to watch. Here's how you get an entry. Watch one of my videos, like the video, comment on the video. Then make a list of all the videos that you have watched, commented, and liked on. And I beg your pardon, there's one other thing. You need to watch the whole video. I don't care if you have the video playing in the background while you're cooking or playing with your kids or whatever. Obviously, I'd love for you to watch it, but you don't have to actually watch it. But YouTube needs to record that you're watching it because this kind of backfired on me last time because I had a lot of views, but they were really short. People were just clicking and then liking and commenting and then clicking off. That hurts me a lot. That the algorithm wants to see you clicked on it and watched it. You watched the whole thing because the content is engaging. You liked the video and you commented. When we see that level of engagement, that causes YouTube to push my content out more so people can draw it into their feed. So the whole point of this giveaway is to generate more traffic on the channel so the channel continues to grow. So again, to get an entry into the contest, you watch an entire video, you like the video, you comment on the video. I don't want you to send me every single time you do this. The channel has gotten so popular that I can barely keep up, which is not meant as a humble brag or complaint. Thank you guys so much. I love this channel. Huge part of my life. I love you guys. I'm just saying, I cannot keep track. You have to send me, once I announce that the contest is live, I need you to send me a list of the 10, 100, 300 videos that you watched, 87 videos, whatever. Just like last time, if it was those of you that were here when I had less than 2,000 subs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, I'm going to take all the entries, and then I'm going to randomize it. So what that means is, let's say that there are 5,000 total entries. I would love to get that many. Let's say that there's that many. If you have 1,000 of them, you now have a 1 in 5 chance. If you have one of them, you have a 1 in 5,000 chance. Now, I should probably rethink this because I don't want you to think you shouldn't watch just one. I think last time we had something like 500 entries total. So the more you watch, the higher your chances are. But of course, you could just watch one and get it. There is one modification I'm going to make in your favor over last time, which is that I'm going to count videos that you've already watched in their entirety, liked, and commented on. So last time I didn't do that, which inadvertently kind of punished my loyal viewers. So if you make a list of all the videos that you have watched in their entirety, liked, subscribed, and commented on, even before today, which we're recording this mid-February, this will probably post February 21st or so, I'm still going to count those. You can go back a whole year. You can go back a year and a half. Jason VT Sports Guy, my dude, who's been here like literally since the beginning. Susbus, you guys that have been here for a long time, last call, you guys that have been here for a long time, you can count every single freaking video you ever watched. I do need you to number it though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't make me count the 89 videos you watched. Think about it from my perspective. I need this to be efficient. So I want to be able to say, Jason VT Sports Guy, 89 entries. Susbus, 27 entries. You know, last call, 211 entries, whatever. Okay? So if you have any questions at all, feel free to email me. If you want to make any trades, email me. If there's anything I forgot to talk about in this video about getting autographs, please email me. And I hope that you guys really enjoyed the video. Please let me know what autographs you get. I can't wait to hear about it. And in the meantime, keep that big smile on your face because baseball cards are awesome. We're going to go get some autographs at spring training. And Noma loves you. We'll see you guys next time.
Hey, this is Corbin Carroll with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Keep ripping because Noma loves you.